Hi everybody, welcome. I've been wanting to do this video, uh, oh golly, for at least a week now. But every time I would get ready to do it or think it's time to do it, I would get sometimes an audio message from, larger me saying no, not yet, or it would just simply be that just energy wasn't there to do it. And that's also one of the keys that I operate through is if the energy's not there to do it, then it's probably not mine to do. And in each now moment. This is not some big, large, sweeping concept. In each now moment, because that's where we live, in each now moment. So anyway, as according to the title, assorted stuff. There's some things I wanted to share, but it was just like I thought I had a theme. I thought I had something, and then Big Me would say no, not yet. And so what I've been doing over the last week is like collecting bits. So that's why this is assorted stuff. But this is still on the silent war. First thing I want to do is share. Uh, highly suggest that you guys check out Amazing Polly. If you're not following her yet, please do. She's, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best researchers in social media. She did a video last week called "Is This Torture?" I haven't seen her post another one yet, and what I like about Polly is she doesn't post every single day, but when she does post, they're bombshells. And having followed her for a while now, I think it's like several years. What I noticed is when she's not posting, that means she's digging. She does some seriously deep dives. And then when she does post and put it all together to present it to us, it's just she knocks it out the park every time. And this last one, Is This Torture? She knocked it out the park. She makes it very, and oh, another thing about Polly is she shows you everything. She shows you all of her documentation, all the research. She puts it on the screen. You can pause it. You can read it yourself, or she'll put links in the. She'll just touch on something and then suggest if you want to dig deeper on a particular item, you can go to the link below and you can follow and dig deeper if it's yours to do. And then she does everything, and she has these flow charts that she does. She just seriously connects all the dots, just because it's a web, it's a tapestry, it's weaved. Everything is weaved together. Polly does a great job of following the threads and connecting the dots, connecting the threads and to each little node in the whole thing. So anyway, highly recommend Amazing Polly. I, I'm just a fan. I'm a subscriber. Uh, I've been getting data from higher self to within my budget support her financially a little bit. So I'm going to start doing that. At least $20 a month or something. That my limited budget. You know, um, but Polly, Polly's she's the bomb. She is literally the bomb. She drops bombs all over the place. So, and this latest video that I'm referring to is called "Is This Torture?" She makes a beautiful argument that this whole thing, this whole event, the coronavirus, the rioting, the whole thing is psychological torture on a global scale, done by the cabal, perpetrated by the cabal. And she does an excellent job of putting that argument together and presenting it. So anyway, do check out Polly, Amazing Polly on YouTube. Okay. Uh, Next bullet point. Well, I hear, read comments, listen to family and friends that nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. They're just like, you know, different surveys. Oh, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. They're going to always get away with it. The cabal runs the show, and they're not all powerful. I'm just going to say that they are not all powerful. Light will always dispel the darkness. I've used this model before here, and I'll do it again. Take a completely pitch black dark room and light one little match, and notice how bright that match is. That fire, that little flame. Light will always dispel the dark. And read the end of the book. God wins. Yada yada yada. Every story, every story in all of human culture. There's all these different stories of the classic battle of good and evil. And the final thing is light wins. And we're just in the trenches. Like I shared before, on the higher dimensions, we're up here and it's a done deal. We, Jrim Chem Fu, light workers, we're down here in the trenches assisting the planet to get to where we already are. Paradoxically, there you go. Life is exquisite in the center of the paradox. You can adopt that, and you'll do so much better. I guarantee you. In it. Oh, forgot one of my props. Excuse me. Let me just dash over here for a minute. Get one of my props. I've been saving this one too. After I went to the bank yesterday to withdraw some money out of my account to pay my rent, uh, when I got the $100 bill, that's when, I got several $100 bills. I wish my rent was $100, but anyway, when I had access to a $100 bill, then I said, okay, I felt and knew now it's time to go ahead and record this video. When you hear about, and this is, if you pay attention only to the mainstream media, you will not have heard this. But one of the many things that the alliance did, and Trump is just the spear, the tip, the public face of the alliance. And this is a worldwide alliance of 186 countries, okay? And there's only 192 sovereign nations on the planet. So the vast majority of the countries on the planet are behind this part of this alliance. The intelligence apparatus and most of the leaders of the country, whether it's publicly known or not. Because, the cabal runs the mass media, the mainstream media. So they're not going to tell you this. They know this fact, but they're not going to tell John Q. Public. So anyway, few months back, early part of this year, during the quote pandemic, which we're now referring to as a plandemic because it was very purposeful, one of the things that Trump did is because the alliance, their main thrust is to take down the cabal, take down the international bankers, take down the world central bank monetary system, because that's what controls and runs the world and keeps the entire world in debt. Okay, so taking them down. One of the things that was done during the pandemic that you never heard of, it was publicly known or made known, but the mainstream media didn't make a big deal out of it. They might have mentioned it once or twice, and then you never heard about it again, and you won't hear about it. Trump and the alliance, they put the Federal Reserve Bank under the auspices of the United States Treasury. Oh, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, the chairman, God, I had it there for a minute. Anyway, the chairman of the board of the Federal Reserve Bank publicly stated, I now answer to the United States Treasury. And who runs the Treasury? Donald Trump. So the United States is very constitutional now. We run our own money, even though he's playing still within their debt system, and that's what you see publicly. None of this is known, quote, publicly through the mainstream media. But I want to illustrate something to you. Have you noticed the dollar bill lately? I can barely see, so I don't know if you guys can see it. That's the $100 bill. That's the latest reiteration of the $100 bill. Oh, there it is. Okay, now I see it there. Okay, see that? This half is green, says Federal Reserve Bank. This half is gold. to signify that the United States is transitioning from the debt-based fiat money of the Federal Reserve System, because this is a promissory note, and they're transitioning to a gold-backed system, which we used to have. And it's not a debt-based system, it's a gold-backed system. This is a $100 bill that's in circulation, and look at it. You can literally see the transition of the money system in the bills that are being printed by the U.S. Treasury. From the central bank promissory note, which is basically an IOU, from a promissory note to a gold-backed dollar. Is that cool or what? But nobody makes a big deal about it. You don't hear it on the media. But there it is. If you have the wherewithal to pay attention, those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, you'll see these little subtleties connecting the dots. This is really, really happening, okay? So the cabal is on its way out. You can see it, and we're running around calling these $100 bills. But look at it. Literally look at that $100 bill. It's not what it used to be, where it used to be a full green promissory note, Federal Reserve promissory note, it would say on the top. Look at it. It's transitioning. Our dollars are transitioning from a debt-based system to a gold-backed system, the way the Constitution set it up. This is so cool. Just one of the many evidences I want to show you that things are literally happening. Wear my glasses. Be with you in a minute. Bear with me, folks. I know you guys do, and that's what I love about you. Okay, my next bullet point was Senate hearings. The Senate is conducting hearings right now, and we remember back in the end, the second half of last year and into January this year with the impeachment and all that madness going on, Trump and his side was on trial, basically. Trump was literally on trial for impeachment in the U.S. Senate. He was acquitted and found not guilty, or acquitted, meaning they just dropped the charges. There was no charge. There was no crime. Anyway, now the Obama administration and the Democrats are on trial. They've been subpoenaed. I mentioned this before. 50 members, 50 people have been subpoenaed to testify. These are ongoing Senate committee hearings that under oath. So perjury does stand, and that's a federal crime. That's considered a felony. Punishable by jail, okay? But the mainstream media is not making a big deal about it. They're continuing the gaslighting. They want you to focus over here, COVID, COVID, COVID. First it was COVID, COVID, then it was the riots, BLM and all that bullshit, and now it's back to COVID, 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 because everything they do keeps petering out. So now they're back to COVID, 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 second wave, okay? Now, hold on. Another thing of things are happening. Did you guys hear about or see on TV fireworks over the 4th of July? A lot of Democrat-controlled cities and counties banned fireworks. I live here in Southern California, and fireworks were banned in the county I live in. They were banned in LA County. They were banned in Riverside County. I live in San Bernardino County. All of the surrounding counties in Southern California banned fireworks. But if you look back on the news, and you can just Google fireworks in LA, Google a shot from a Los Angeles news helicopter flying over metropolitan Los Angeles, and just the sky was lit up. People said no to your fireworks ban, no to your control. And that ban was backed by a $15,000 fine. And people still, silent majority, civil unrest, whatever you want to call it, they said no. Their line, we're being pushed to that line, and there is going to be a line drawn in the sand, and people are just going to go, okay, enough. Enough's enough. Well, the fireworks inched us a little bit closer to that line of people, the body, the people of the United States, John Q. Public saying no, enough's enough. The same thing was happened in Philadelphia. One of the channels I follow, the guy is he lives in the South New Jersey suburbs of Philadelphia, and he said Philadelphia, the night sky was on fire. It looked like the sky was exploding. It was just people are saying no, and I'm sure this happened a lot of places around the country. It's just not being reported by the mainstream media because they don't want to uh, 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 accentuate public unrest. People saying no. They want to keep that iron fist in there, and this is the way it is. Matter of fact, I was just a little while ago, I was thinking before Mika Brzezinski, she's one of the co-hosts of Morning Joe on MSNBC, a national cable news network. She is literally quoted. I don't think it's been scrubbed from the internet yet, but it's out there if you want to see it. She literally said on the public airways, because she was bitching about the Trump administration or the conservatives or the Republicans or whatever label you want to put. She was bitching about the opposition to them trying to control the narrative. And she just got out of sorts and said something that she wasn't supposed to say, but it was caught. She literally said, "It's our job to tell people what to think." That's a direct quote. It's our job to tell people what to think. That's what they think of you. You're too stupid to think for yourself. And that's how they approach you. The gaslighting, do this, do what we say, yada, yada, yada. Okay? And the gaslightings continue. Perfect segue. I think that was my next stop. Yeah, the gaslighting is continuing. You notice how when you watch any national news broadcasts or, just the mainstream media, I think Fox is like the only one that's not doing this, but you'll see CNN, MSNBC, all of them, whenever, whoever's the talking heads there, they always have a banner over here on the side, and it's topped with corona cases and then corona deaths, and they're just, that information is constantly, it's basically subliminal programming. They want you to constantly think about that. And here's the gaslighting. Remember, well, the whole thing is gaslighting, but here's a specific point. Remember when this thing first happened back in March, and they had these things on the screen constantly telling you about how many corona deaths, how many deaths, the death toll is rising, the death toll is rising. Well, and that we were supposed to voluntarily shut down so that we can uh, flatten the curve so that the hospitals wouldn't get overwhelmed by the death toll, or the hospitalizations. And then but they kept hitting you with the death toll is rising. This is such a killer virus, yada, yada, yada. Well, then we come to find out months later, it's not what they told us. Nothing about what they told us is correct. They're wrong, and every time they say something, they turn out to be wrong. But what they're doing right now is, if you look on that little panel on the side here, whenever they're talking, what's up there now is they're accentuating uh, virus cases. Well, yeah, that just common sense math, but they won't tell you to do the math because you're not smart enough to think for yourself. It's their job to tell you what to think. Remember, so they're putting up there, and they're now focusing on death. I mean, on cases. Well, and when they first came out, they were hollering about testing, testing, testing. We got to increase the testing. Well, now that we are increasing the testing, the number of cases will increase because you're increasing the amount of testing, and that's how you find out who's got it or don't. But conversely, the hospitalizations are decreasing, and the death toll is decreasing. So it's just a natural, common mathematical ratio. When the testing goes up, and you have that many more people have had coronavirus, but you only have X amount of deaths, well, as this number increases, this number decreases. If you just run the numbers and do the math after this is all said and done, it will come out that the coronavirus, this whole pandemic, is no worse than a common cold or the common flu. And we got flu season every single year, but we don't run around wearing masks, 24 hours a day in the middle of the summer, even though the science says that the heat and the humidity of the summer months kills the coronavirus. Ultraviolet light kills the coronavirus. I think it was within one or 2 seconds, 1.5 to 2 seconds of exposure to ultraviolet light, the coronavirus dies. And this data, this scientific data, was put out months ago. But oh no, nobody made a big deal out of it because it contradicts their narrative. So they're still gaslighting us. But here's the thing with the gaslighting. If you know you're being gaslit, you can't be gaslit. Just like with a magician, a magic trick. If you know the trick, you can't be fooled by the trick. So that's what I'm sharing. People, think for yourselves. Pay attention. Because the gaslighting is continuing. The silent war continues. Okay, and that brings me to my final point, which is good. This is pretty much kind of put the video timing where I wanted it. My final point, I've talked about past couple of videos. Who are you? Consider who you are. Your identity is one of the foundational elements of your reality base. Who are you? Who do you think you are? Are you a vast multidimensional being having a human experience? Are you a planetary transition team member here to assist planet Earth in her next step in evolution? Are you Jrim Kim Fu? Who are you? You have to decide who you are. And here's the hardest thing. This is why we sent us. This is why we, as PTMs, as Jrim Kim Fu, this is why we volunteered and we were chosen. Not everybody that volunteered to be here at this time from around the cosmos, not everybody got to show up. But some of us did. And if you're listening to this video, you're one of those that qualified. It's not like it was a lottery. Maybe it was, but I don't think so. You qualified to be here because we're the best at it. And here's why. Show me something outside of all that is. You've heard that before from me, and I bet you can't. You cannot show me anything outside of all that is. That includes the dark. What we have to do, and the absolute hardest thing that there is to do, especially within the parameters and the confines of the third and fourth dimensional reality base, the hardest thing to do is for us to love the dark. But that's what we have to do. That is our job. Love the dark. Send the dark love. As you channel your light from the higher dimensions and you anchor it into the planet, you anchor it into everything on the planet and in the planet, even the beings that are serving the dark, the beings that are of the service to self faction. Share and show them love from your heart. Share. You don't have to go out and go out and physically do something to some bum, and you know internally, that's where the major work is done within your being, because as you do that, you raise your vibration and you exponentially raise the vibration of the planet. But the hardest part of our job is to love the dark, to show them love, to incorporate them, because if you don't, you're operating within polarity. You're defeating your purpose. That's why we sent us. That is the hardest thing to do, is to love thy enemy. Love thy enemy. And just in the parameters of those words, that sounds polarization, but it's just to share the idea. No, because you can't. There's nothing outside of all that is, so there is no enemy. But within the weeds, within the trenches of the third and fourth dimensional reality base, yes, it's all polarized, and there is black and white, there is light and dark, and yada yada yada. You got that. But the hardest thing for us to do, and why we're here to do that, is to love the dark. Show them love. And you start with yourself. You hear about, people in the New Age community talking about you got to do the shadow work, you got to do this, you got to do that. That's what I was doing, and I was sharing those technologies that Alaria shared with me to assist me in loving my dark, in loving my shadow self, in incorporating and transmuting that dark energy to the light, and being more light. And that again, if, I think I might have to share. I think I will in the next video or so share those technologies again, because there might be some new people that haven't come across those yet in the older videos. Rescinding the vows. That is the most dynamic tool in my metaphysical toolbox. My sister Cynthia shared with me another tool that I went, ooh, that goes in my toolbox. And matter of fact, I'll probably talk to her today, and I'll try to remember what that was and share with you, because it was as soon as she shared with me, I went, okay, that works. I can see that, and I will utilize that. And because she's my spiritual partner right now. My Georgiana has passed on to the higher dimensions. I don't know if I mentioned that this past December. And Cynthia has always been one of my spiritual partners, but she is my primary spiritual partner right now, including you guys. I wouldn't be here if it not for you, because this is for you. So that's why I'm doing this. This is for you, my partners, my teammates. Whoever you are, you know who you are. Okay? So, with that being said, we'll go ahead and close this out. As always, I love you. Remember, yeah, no, I'm not gonna get, because I'm just getting ready to take off on another tangent. But anyway, uh, as always, please share this video if it's yours to do. If you know somebody of like mind that would be interested in this data, please share it, because this might exactly be what they're waiting to hear. Through you, from me through you. But because this is all, it just works exponentially, okay? And then also for the algorithms on YouTube, please press the like button if you would. That way, YouTube algorithms see that more people are liking it, interested, and it'll get recommended in people's individual feeds more than not. And so we can get this message out. What else was there? Share, like, that was pretty much it that I'm asking you guys to do. And as always, I love you. Blessings on your journey. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.